In the quaint town of Greenville, where the whispers of dreams gone awry linger in the air, I find myself entwined in the tale of East Carolina University, a place that promised growth, a sanctuary of knowledge where young minds were to flourish into the blooms of tomorrow. Yet here I stand, a lone figure amidst the crumbling facade of what was once a beacon of hope. My journey began with the naivety of a child, my heart brimming with the eagerness to learn. I reached out, my voice a mere whisper on the wind, seeking guidance, a sign to lead me to this hallowed ground. But alas, the silence that greeted me was deafening, my calls unanswered, my emails adrift in the abyss of cyberspace. Time, a fickle friend, slipped through my fingers, and with each grain of sand, my faith in ECU waned. As I walked the paths of this once revered institution, I felt the weight of its disillusionment, a heavy cloak draped upon my shoulders. The buildings, once vibrant with the dreams of students past, now stood as monuments to neglect. The air conditioning, a cruel irony, wept upon the heads of those it was meant to comfort, its leaky embrace fostering not relief but sickness and despair. In the hallowed halls where the echoes of knowledge should have danced, there was naught but chaos. The staff, entrusted with the care of young minds, seemed to have forgotten their charge. Their steps, slow and heavy with indifference, betrayed the heart of ECU, a place where the spirit of learning was left to wither in the shadow of apathy. As a teacher in the making, I ventured forth into the residency program, a crucible meant to forge educators of the future. But oh, how the fire burned too hot, too wild for those not yet armed with the tools to tame it. I found myself adrift, with no mentor to guide me through the stormy seas of pedagogy. I was a vessel without a rudder, at the mercy of currents too strong for my inexperienced hands. The curriculum, a labyrinth of confusion, led me not to enlightenment, but to the precipice of failure. I was to grade what I had not yet learned to teach, a Sisyphean task that left me grasping for the wisdom that ECU seemed so reluctant to impart. My instructional coach, a beacon in the darkness, was but a solitary light, unaffiliated with the university that had left me to fend for myself. The dormitories, once a haven for the weary scholar, had become a breeding ground for neglect. Cockroaches, those unwelcome companions, scuttled across the floors, their presence a grotesque reminder of the disregard for the well-being of those who called this place home. The showers, a luxury in short supply, were but a single, lukewarm stream for an entire floor to share. My heart aches as I recall the tales of financial woe, where tuition waivers vanished into the ether, and the promise of aid turned to ash in the hands of those they were meant to help. The cashier's office, a vault where hope went to die, offered naught but vague reassurances, their words as empty as the pockets they had drained. And so, dear listener, we stand together, our spirits heavy with the burden of broken promises. We have borne witness to the tragic play staged at East Carolina University, where the actors forgot their lines and the director lost the plot. We have seen the toll of poor management, the scars left by understaffing, and the sorrow born of unfulfilled potential. As I pen the final chapters of my time at ECU, I am struck by the profound sense of loss that envelops me. It is a chronic sadness, a melancholy that clings to my soul like a persistent fog. So I am looking into crimes near East Carolina University, Greenville, just to see what kind of stuff goes down around there. And honestly, it is kinda scary, like what happened to some people. So first off, there was this electronics store near East Carolina University, Greenville, where the owners and employees got indicted for federal fraud charges. Like, can you believe that? They were doing some shady stuff, and I am guessing they got caught when someone noticed something fishy going on. I mean, who works at a store and doesn't notice their boss is doing something weird, right? Anyway, it is just crazy to think about how many people got scammed, like over a dozen owners and employees. That is a lot. I wonder what happened to them after they got caught. Did they go to jail? Did they lose their jobs? Like, what is the consequence for doing something so wrong? And then there was this big retail fraud scheme that happened in eastern North Carolina, including near East Carolina University, Greenville. Like, it was a group of people from Michigan, and they were using fake gift cards to scam stores. They present these cards to the clerks, and then grab merchandise and flee, often in this white Volkswagen Tiguan SUV with Florida registration. I mean, how do you even come up with that? It is like, wow, you race so creative, but also so wrong. Like, how could you do that to people? And they did it multiple times in different states. Like, it is just crazy. I wonder what happened to the victims. Did they lose a lot of money? Did they get reimbursed? Like, how did it affect them? And lastly, there was this lottery fraud incident at a convenience store near East Carolina University, Greenville. Like, this guy, Cuvius Nugeri Foster, was arrested for doing some shady stuff with lottery tickets. I mean, who tries to scam people with lottery tickets, right? It's like, come on, people are trying to win some money, and you're just taking advantage of them. That's so wrong. I wonder what happened to him after he got caught. Did he go to jail? Did he lose his job? Like, what's the consequence for doing something so wrong?
We will now explore how the businesses that line the streets around East Carolina University in Greenville tend to behave, and why a weary traveler might feel a knot form in their stomach before stepping foot inside. First, the overall picture is one of disappointment. Many places seem to run on shortcuts, to the point where the atmosphere feels more like a cautionary tale than a welcoming community. The recurring theme is a mix of unclean conditions, inattentive service, and hidden fees that make the experience feel like a scam rather than a genuine offering. This vibe colors everything that follows, painting a portrait of an area where the promise of hospitality often falls short. Let us begin with the local floating spa. The spa scene in this part of town feels more like a pool hallway than a place of calm. Imagine walking in and being greeted by a stale chlorine scent, a shower mat that still carries strands of hair, and lighting that refuses to dim. The water is simply filtered and recirculated, leaving a lingering doubt about how often the tubs are truly cleaned. For anyone seeking true relaxation, the lack of proper sanitation turns the session into an uneasy experience, prompting many to drive the extra miles to a more reputable facility. Next, the Indian restaurant that calls itself a palace. The common story here is a steady decline in quality. Patrons report tea that tastes like boiled water, dishes that arrive swimming in oil, and flavor that has been watered down to the point of being unrecognizable. Portion sizes have shrunk while prices have risen, and staff appear stretched thin, often leaving guests waiting for simple requests such as a drink refill. The atmosphere can become tense, with waitstaff delivering sarcastic remarks instead of hospitality. In short, the dining experience feels like an overpriced lesson in how not to maintain consistency. The coffee roasters down the block present another pattern. Coffee lovers encounter brews that taste burnt, weak, or even rancid, suggesting that beans sit too long before being ground. Service may be brief, but the staff often seem undertrained, unable to pull a proper espresso shot, and sometimes respond to criticism with defensiveness. Cleanliness is another concern, with occasional sightings of insects and a noisy environment that disrupts students trying to study. The promise of a cozy caffeine haven dissolves into frustration for those hoping for a reliable cup. Now consider the casual hot dog joint that markets itself as a quick bite. The most striking issue here is the hidden gratuity added to bills without any notice, effectively charging customers an extra 20% for service they may never receive. Service itself can be sporadic, with waitstaff disappearing for long stretches, ignoring tables, and responding rudely when approached. In some accounts, the establishment appears to treat certain groups differently, creating an uncomfortable, unwelcoming vibe. The combination of surprise fees and indifferent staff makes this spot feel more like a trap than a friendly eatery. The beloved Biscuit Cafe, once a staple for brunch seekers, now carries the weight of broken expectations. Regulars describe plates that arrive cold, taste bland, or even smell like decay. Waiting times stretch well beyond reasonable limits, often an hour for simple orders, while other diners receive their meals minutes after sitting down. Mistakes with side dishes and a reluctance to correct them add to the feeling of being short-changed. The staff's attitude ranges from indifferent to outright rude, with managers disappearing when confronted. For families with children, the environment feels hostile, as strollers are barred from aisles and the staff shows little patience for young guests.